It will be integrated through history, through science, through math, language arts. We want to make sure that the technology is supporting the core subjects as well as the, I wouldn't say they're not core, because an art class is core, but we're also seeing a lot of video art and kids doing video graphics. We're also seeing them doing CAD drawing and engineering classes on the computer, so we're using it to support the subjects. We're asking teachers to integrate the technology skills in the classroom, so it's not, okay, we're going to typing now, or we're going to go learn, how to use a keyboard in the computer lab. Again, publishing, emphasizing the published work is very important. We're looking at things, as I said, the wikis, the podcasts, video websites, using those in class. There's a program, a learning management system called Edmodo, and it very much has an interface like Facebook. I have a hard time with it because I don't even have a Facebook account. But the kids that are using it, and a lot of the teachers are just going right on and they're having conversations and they're sharing. It's absolutely amazing to watch. We'll sit in a training and we'll have one up and people are able to comment as they're going through and ask questions, and we can address them right away. We have classrooms today that are using what we call flip learning. Teachers are videoing themselves doing a 15-minute lesson. They're providing it to access to students online. After school, they can go into the computer labs if they don't have it at home, or they can watch it at home. Parents can watch that with them so they see how the teacher is teaching something. And then when they get to school, they do their homework. Because then when they struggle with it, the teacher is there to help them. And so they call it flip learning. That is occurring today at many of our schools. Not in every classroom, but it is happening. And it's kind of spreading like wildfire. In fact, our technology program specialist is so busy she can't get any of the other people that she needs to get done because she's doing so many trainings, which is a positive thing. We talked a lot about the assessments. The previous system, the STAR testing system, we assessed kids in 2nd grade through 8th grade in grade level subjects as well as content area subjects as they got higher up. We tested them in 9th grade, 10th grade, and 11th grade. The Smarter Balance is 3rd through 8th grade only. We're giving children an opportunity to learn the foundations in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade before we throw an assessment at them. And then again in 11th grade. And what that means is those math skills that we're testing is going to be a progression of 3 years of math in 1 grade. It will be the application of 3 years of language arts in 1 grade. And so it's a lot. It's huge. The current year in the spring, there are a couple of assessments that we are still giving as a state because the state has not completely adopted science standards. So we are still existing on our previous science standards. So students in 5th grade will take a science test. In 8th grade, they will take a science test. And in 10th grade, they will take a life science test as well. So 10th grade, in years to come, if you have a student in 8th grade, when they become a freshman, they won't have a state test. They will have the Casey test as a sophomore. That is still there. The exit exam has not gone away for 10th grade. But the big test is going to be in 11th grade. Ever more important that we're teaching across the state of California, from state to state, the same set of standards so that kids aren't at a disadvantage if they do happen to move after their freshman year of school. It is computer adaptive. They are offering a paper pencil in the first year for districts that are not building the capacity of their infrastructure and technology, whether it be size, location. There's still some very remote schools that they're having trouble getting even internet access in some of those schools still, or at least fast enough internet access that they can actually do this types of assessment. Don't think that's going to be a problem for us as a district. I'm confident we are ahead of schedule in our transition at this point from what I've heard. I'm not on that committee, so I can't speak to that. I only know what I hear in and around the office. The assessment will be a pilot. It's a test of a test, as we said, in the spring. We need to figure out where, the adaptive piece of it's going to be, what changes need to happen in assessments, how we're assessing kids. And it will go live in 14-15. That is the target that we are on right now. So the assessments will happen in the spring. My understanding at this point in time is that testing could begin as early as March, but run up until the last day of school. It all depends on the length of your school year and how far you are in the process. when we, and then, you know, obviously, different schools will maybe test over a longer period of time if they don't have the same capacity in their computers, as others. So, that, they give us that flexibility for that piece, of the assessments.
Wait, so you're saying that they're gonna be testing for like 3 months without any instruction?
No. Not all students. The window would be open because it's computers and, I mean, every student doesn't have a computer. It would be accessing that computer system. That does not mean that the kids aren't gonna be learning for 3 months. It's just a window. Sorry,
The
I
testing window
apologize.
is open. Within that window, you can test for those 3 or 4 days. I think it's March 17th up until the last day of school.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So, from what I'm understanding here, is there's no freshman testing this year, and there's no 10th grade testing
There is.
next year?
No, for this spring, the test of the tests, we have 3rd through 8th grade, juniors, and for the science, we have 5th grade, 8th grade, and 10th grade.
So the answer to your question, freshmen are not taking
Correct.
assessment.
There's no, and then
Yeah.
next year will be no testing for 10th grade, right?
Correct, no freshmen, no sophomore testing.
So my kid will have 2 years of testing.
Right. He'll probably celebrate.
Well, just,
That's
just-
the bottom line.
when you say, okay, I just want to clarify that.
SAT kind of.
Standardized
Standardized
tests.
testing.
However,
Yes.
there will be quizzes and formative
Yeah.
assessments
Plenty of
going on
assessments,
throughout the school year at the site.
And what,
Just
what
standardized
happens,
testing.
like tomorrow, you know, there's no school in the morning because of the PSATs? Well, whatever.
In the
But,
morning.
so what will happen with the other kids when, 11th grade is like full credit testing, or you're not quite sure yet? what's
Well,
gonna
I think the
happen?
logistics of how it's going to work
Yeah.
really depends on the computer systems that you have at your site. We have these things, we call them cows. I said, what is a cow? And it is a computer on wheels, and what it is it's a cart, and it houses anywhere from 30 to 45 computers, laptop computers, that can move from room to room. And it's a great way to get computers into every room, so you're not disrupting the child's environment, you're bringing the tool to them. However, that requires internet access, or we have to hardwire every classroom. So that's part of the process that we're in now, is providing that, internet access and making sure that we have the ability for having 35 computers on a wireless system. Having the password would help, if we want to get onto that system. But
And I'm sure there's gonna be many more obstacles and hurdles that come up this spring.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're having the test of the test this
Yep.
spring, just to flesh these out for our kids.
As with anything, I mean, we think in processes, and it's like planning a lesson, we just know it's gonna happen, and, you know, we try to predict things, but something else, you know, a monkey wrench comes in, it's, you know, going to the airport on vacation, same thing, we have flat tire. I mean, there's things you just can't predict, which is why we do the opposite. I had a question here, and then I have one here.
I know it's really important to be globally competitive, and I'm sure this is, so are we looking, as we're building these models, what are other countries doing? And so we want to be globally competitive to whom, and then how are they doing that? Are we trying to adapt our model to what they're doing?
So one example, with our STAR test, we have a zillion standards. And when we look at other countries that have been outperforming us in terms of student achievement, they have about 1/3 of the standards that we do. So one shift is with the Common Core, we have reduced the standards. We have raised the rigor, but we have reduced the standards.
Number of standards?
Yes, the number of standards, right. So currently, and with our STAR test, if we were to teach all of our students with fidelity all the standards, our students would be in school, high school, until they were 24, 25 years old. It's virtually impossible. So now with the Common Core, we've drastically reduced the standards so we can go more in depth with those standards. To be more, and that's what Singapore has done, Finland, some of those other countries. So that's just one example. Okay.
Okay, sir?
How about blended learning, the idea that you more and more, integrate computer-based learning into education?
Well, we have some of our sites that are exploring that, Valley View, Sequoia. You have to ask yourself, what is the strongest variable of increasing student achievement? Is it using the computer in the classroom? Just what is that? And in our opinion, it is it's the effectiveness of the teacher. It really is.
But that's the